As you know, quality management is definitely one of the most important processes that we have out of the different knowledge areas. So, one of the important knowledge areas that we talked about is quality management. Quality management consists of various processes within it, and today's topic is around quality management. Let's get started with quality management. Quality is always at the center of the constraint triangle that we talked about. Apart from cost, schedule, resources, etc., quality is one of the important constraints of the project. Ultimately, quality is the responsibility of all the team members working on the project, but the project manager is ultimately responsible for quality. We will talk about the various aspects a project manager needs to ensure while managing quality on a project. In today's topic and discussion, we are going to talk about project quality management, a quality management overview, and quality management processes involved in managing quality on a project. This session is aligned with the PMBOK 6th edition. So this is definitely in line with the latest changes that have been made by the PMI in PMBOK. So let's get started with project quality management as a topic. Under this topic, as we were talking about, we will be discussing various processes that are involved in managing quality on the project. But before we get on to the processes that we have, let's quickly understand quality management. Now, as we all know, quality is all about whether we are producing the outcome of the project in the form of a product, result, or service. Do you think by the end of that project it is fit for use or not? Is it fit for purpose or not? Does it meet the customer requirements or not? So ultimately, we need to make sure that we check on that. Whether the project meets the needs it was originally created to meet is what is ensured by quality management. It also ensures that all project activities necessary for designing, planning, and implementing a project are effective and efficient. That is ensured by following quality management as one of the important plans that we create on the project. So let's understand a bit more around quality management as a concept when we work on the project. There are a few things that we definitely need to make sure we are doing as part of quality. One is, of course, verification. Continuous verification is what is expected by the team and the project manager. For example, a simple verification could be a traceability matrix. We ensure to have a traceability matrix on the project so that we verify the requirements that we have gathered from the customers. Are we incorporating those while designing, coding, testing, and deploying, etc.? That simple verification really helps us. It's not just the backward traceability but also the forward traceability that we ensure we are doing. So that's a quick example of verification. Now, whenever we talk about quality, we also ensure that it should be precise. Precision is all about doing it consistently, and when we do it consistently, it actually ensures precision. We must have heard about terms like precision and accuracy. Accuracy is when we actually hit the target, but when we hit the target 10 times consistently, we are not only accurate but also precise, and that is what reflects in the quality. Whatever the outcome that we are producing, whether a deliverable, result, or service, we need to make sure that it's not only accurate but also precise so that we consistently produce the same outcome in the form of a product, service, or result that we are committing to the customer. Accuracy and precision are definitely two important facts that we always talk about under quality. There is something called tolerance, and we set tolerance limits and come up with a control chart. This helps us understand whether the outcome we are producing fits within the tolerance limits or not. We have upper and lower specification limits. The product we are producing as an outcome of the process or project must fit within the tolerance limit. Anything above that, the customer wouldn't accept. If there are too many things we produce that are not accepted by the customer, it will cost us, and that contributes to the cost of quality, which we will also discuss. Continuous validation and verification, as we were discussing, are integral parts of maintaining and ensuring quality while working on any project. Whatever the customer's requirements are, once we build that feature, we need to ensure that it is validated as per the acceptance criteria given by the customer. We will talk more about some of these aspects around quality. The quality management overview is what we are going to start with at the moment. Now, when we talk about the overview in terms of understanding quality, we also need to understand the various trends and emerging practices in quality these days. Starting with customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is ultimately one of the goals that every organization strives to achieve through the product, service, or results produced as an outcome of the project. As part of project constraints these days, apart from quality, schedule, and other constraints like risk and resources, one of the most important aspects is customer satisfaction. Are my customers satisfied with the outcome I'm producing or not? If they're not satisfied, we need to find out the reasons. First of all, am I really checking if my customers are happy or not? Am I conducting customer surveys, gathering feedback, and conducting interviews? Am I incorporating the feedback I receive back into the process of developing that product, service, or result? There are various questions we need to ask ourselves as a team. Continual improvement should always be at the heart of quality. The reason is that it's about consistently improving the way we do things, the way the process runs. Are we challenging the status quo? How are we improving on a daily basis? There are various ways through which we can achieve this. It could be through the implementation of Kaizen methodology, Six Sigma, or a lean way of working, etc. But continual improvement is definitely one of the most important things that teams need to ensure. To bring out an order to get the maximum out of this partnership and the relations. So let's keep talking about some of the tailoring considerations that we should be taking into consideration while working on quality management. Now, all the processes of quality management need to be applied in a tailored or customized way in order to make them unique to the project that you're working on. Because, as we know, a project is a unique endeavor. We produce a product, service, or result out of that project, and it is unique in itself. So let's talk about how and where we can do this kind of customization. Let's take a few examples. For example, policy compliance and auditing. Now, whichever project you're working on, you have to do customization or tailoring around the way you're working, considering the compliance requirements or audit requirements. For example, I still remember when I was working on a project where we had to comply with SOX compliance. That meant the requirements were completely different over there. We had to take the code freeze approval at least 14 days before we put the code into the production environment. That was something very unique to that compliance requirement, and it was audited as well. So we had to really retain those audit trails and had to retain those pieces of evidence, which we could then produce when the audit was conducted. That's a very quick example, which may not be required in all projects. The second aspect is around standards and regulatory compliance. Sometimes, there are certain mandatory standards that have to be followed. So we need to ensure that we are adhering to those mandatory standards. If we haven't already considered them as part of the project, continuous improvement and challenging the status quo are important. Various methodologies these days are popular when it comes to continuous improvement, and I'm sure some of those methodologies you may have already used yourself. Agile is a great example. Agile really helps us improve on a continuous basis because we do retrospection, gather lessons learned, and implement the improvements from that. Another methodology is Six Sigma, and then there is Lean. There are many, including Kanban, which also helps us continuously improve. Stakeholder engagement is also key. Since we talked about quality, ultimately, all these requirements that we work on in any project come from the stakeholders. So we have to engage them throughout the project and not just at the beginning or towards the end. Tailoring around this aspect would really help us gain a competitive advantage or improve the project outcome. Now, let's talk about the quality management process. So far, I've introduced you to the topic. We discussed what quality is and the different aspects around quality. We also spoke about why tailoring is required when working on quality. Now, let's get into the process part. We also have 5 different process groups. Today, we are focusing on quality management processes. So let's talk about the process. There are 3 processes as part of quality management. It starts with planning. We have to plan for quality, we can't ignore it. Once we put a plan in place, we have to manage quality. That's where we decide the high-level approach to managing quality on the project. Once I give that commitment through this plan, I have to execute it, and that execution involves managing quality. As I start executing, I also need to check whether I am executing it as per the plan. That's where the control aspect comes into play. So we have 3 processes embedded in quality management: planning quality management, managing quality, and controlling quality. Let's start with the first one, which is planning quality. Now, like any other knowledge area, we always talk about inputs to the process, tools and techniques used, and the expected outputs. Similarly, for quality management, we will discuss what the inputs are. But before getting into that, let's talk about planning quality management. Planning quality management is all about identifying key requirements in terms of quality. This could be related to the standards we are going to follow or the commitments we are making. It includes how we will maintain and manage quality on the project. The approach we follow to ensure quality is built into the product is also a part of this process. In general, this provides guidance and direction. Even if the project manager is unavailable one day, someone else can easily refer to this plan to understand the quality management approach. The plan outlines how we will manage and verify quality throughout the project. Typically, we create this plan at the beginning of the project, and the quality management plan becomes a part of the overall project plan. Now, let's get started with some of the inputs to quality management. We would also know which are those stakeholders whom I need to engage while creating. The other is the project management plan itself. Few things we have already captured over there, and anyways, the quality management plan is a subsidiary plan of the project management plan. That means we have to refer to that for short project documents. We need to also refer to different project documents while working on the quality part and the project documents. Obviously, we need to make sure that these project documents that we are referring to are something like, for example, an assumption log. So I need to know what are some of the assumptions that I need to factor in while working on the planning quality aspects. Then we also need to know how we are going to establish a traceability matrix on the project. How are we going to capture risks? For example, what about the stakeholder register? Can I have access to that so that I can update it if required? So those are some of the examples of the documents that we talk about here. Apart from that, there are 2 inputs we always talk about in almost all processes, and those are enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. They could be, for example, as part of assets, certain templates that I need to use. They could be certain, in terms of enterprise environmental factors, I would also compare the quality with what comes out of the commitment that I am going to give as a company in the market. So there are certain general guidelines that are available that I would refer to as well. So these are some of the inputs that we talked about. Let's now talk about some of the tools and techniques when we plan quality into the project. Starting with expert judgment, it is one of the tools and techniques that we talk about here. And as you would agree, expert judgment is all about engaging SMEs to get inputs from them. And probably we need to also take into consideration the tailoring aspects of this project based on the experience of these people. What do I need to do? Something which is very easy to do as well is very valuable. Data gathering is definitely another tool that is very useful. We can gather data through various ways. One example could be benchmarking. I can compare the quality with what's published in the market. It could be through various publications or even, for that matter, the standards that are there. So I can compare it with the past. I can compare it with the standards or the competition as well. So that's a kind of benchmarking. I need to be right up to the competition in the market. So if it is not there, then how can I improve ourselves in terms of the quality outcomes that we are producing? Brainstorming is a simple idea generation technique that helps us in generating data and ideas, etc. I can also conduct interviews with a few people in order to gather data. So there are some examples of data analysis. Once we gather data while putting the plan for quality, I need to also ensure that I analyze the data that I've gathered. For that, I might have to use different techniques. A simple one could be cost-benefit analysis. Can I just check the cost of quality? What is the benefit I am going to get out of that? At the same time, what is the cost of implementing the quality requirements against the benefit, as I just mentioned? Or the cost of quality in itself, which will cover the cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. Now, as we know, the cost of conformance is all about ensuring that quality is built in. What is the cost required for that? For that, quality assurance or audits or different things that I'm going to use on the project could include reviews, etc. What's the cost required for that? And non-conformance costs could be very high. One of the best examples could be the Volkswagen emissions scandal. We know the kind of amount that Volkswagen had to bear. It was huge. That's the cost of non-conformance, I would say, because it not only affects costs but also affects the reputation of the company as a whole. So that could be another example, and we will discuss many more such examples in our training. Decision-making is another aspect. As part of decision-making, again, it's pretty straightforward, right? We have to make decisions between the options that are available. So we'll also look into some tools that we can use in order to make decisions as well in the actual training. Data representation. Once we gather data, we can actually represent the data in various ways. For example, we can create a simple flowchart of the data that we've gathered. Let's say I've gathered some data from the process. I can just put it together in a flowchart. Or I can create some sort of a logical data model, or even for that matter, a matrix. All of that really helps us in visualizing things. I think a mind map would be one of the simplest examples. We just put together what's on our mind in a particular format, in a particular way, and that really helps us in representing the data. Test and inspection planning would certainly involve our considerations about various testing activities that we are going to do in order to, of course, inspect the product. This ensures that we inspect the deliverable or service that we are providing to our customers. And there are going to be various ways, as we all know, like alpha and beta releases that we see in the market these days, or various inspections. Can think of various things. What kind of quality metric do you want to capture on your project? That quality metric would certainly help you in ensuring that you are tracking quality. So it could be, for example, the defect data. It could be defect age. It could be the defects per release, etc. So that could be just one quick example. The project management plan will get updated with this outcome and even the project documents. Like I have given you examples of the assumption log, traceability matrix, or stakeholder list that we are creating. So that might also get updated as a result of this. This covers our plan quality management. We saw what the inputs are. We saw tools and techniques, and we also covered the outcomes that we can get in the form of different outputs of this process. Of course, let's now talk about managing quality. As a part of quality management, we have planned. Then the second part is about managing quality. It's all about execution. Now, since we have a plan in place, it's time for us to execute that plan. Let's talk a bit about it. It's all about translating that plan into your executable quality activities. So whatever we have committed to through this plan, now we are to execute that. It will also help us in making sure that the quality policies are embedded into the project, and that is certainly the responsibility of the management to make sure that all the teams are ensuring the embedding of quality policies into their project plans, etc. It also helps us in improving the probability of meeting the quality objectives, and not only that, identifying the ineffective processes that cause poor quality. So it's all about identifying those aspects, fixing those aspects, and acting upon those gaps. When we start executing the plans, we will certainly come to know about these things. So let's do a bit of a deep dive, starting with, of course, the inputs. Let's start talking about inputs to manage quality, and we will, of course, talk about the first input, which is the project management plan itself. Now, what will come out of the project management plan is the quality management plan, because the quality management plan is a subsidiary management plan that is a part of your project management plan. So that will come in project documents. As we've already spoken about the various examples of the project elements that we can think of, not only that, the project documents, I have already given you a few examples. It could also include the assumption log, or, for that matter, the traceability matrix or the stakeholder list, etc. The next one is about OPAs and IFs, which we talked about. But in this case, specifically, we'll be talking about the 4Ps. What are organizational process assets? When we talk about managing quality, we need to factor in a lot of different assets that might have been created. Those need to be used. As I gave you an example of certain standards and templates, those we need to adhere to when we work in any organization. So we need to always refer to that. Usually, the central team within the organization working for quality ensures that these assets are being communicated across all teams so that they start using them. So let's get started with the next aspect of managing quality, which is tools and techniques. What kind of tools can we use? Starting with the tools for data gathering, we have already discussed the kind of tools that we can use for gathering data, like interviews and brainstorming sessions, etc. We can talk a bit about data analysis tools. What kind of analysis can we do? Once we gather data, this data is about executing the plan. Some data gets generated on the project. That data needs to be captured, that data needs to be analyzed. We could do alternative analysis. We could analyze various statistics on the project. We could do simple process analysis to find opportunities to improve the process. Or, importantly, we could also undertake a root cause analysis, because now that we are executing the plan, we might come across certain issues. We need to find out why a particular issue has occurred. Let's find out the root cause of the issue so that it will not occur again. Audits are another important aspect of managing quality. I hope audits are a pretty straightforward concept. They could be internal or external audits. Depending on the type of audits conducted in your organization, decision-making becomes quite straightforward. We make decisions based on the kind of data we've gathered. Design for X, or DFX, is all about designing for excellence. It consists of a set of technical guidelines that can be applied during the design phase. These guidelines help optimize various aspects of design. Design thinking is one such example. Design for excellence involves technical guidelines and best practices, such as keeping designs simple so they can evolve later. This approach helps improve product characteristics, including cost, production, quality improvements, performance, and customer satisfaction. To achieve better performance, we must incorporate technical guidelines into the design. If we neglect these guidelines, it will impact product performance once it is developed and put into production. Data representation is another key aspect. There are various ways to represent data, such as flowcharts and process diagrams. Problem-solving skills are also important, covering multiple approaches to resolving issues. Quality improvement methods play a crucial role. Some methods include Plan-to-Check-Act, Six Sigma, Kaizen, and continuous improvement. These methods help achieve better quality outcomes. When managing quality, what outcomes do we expect? We generate quality reports, which provide data from the execution of the quality plan. These reports can be in graphical, numerical, or qualitative formats, helping in decision-making and ensuring quality expectations are met. Quality reports also include escalated quality management issues, suggested improvements, corrective actions taken, and pre-work required. Additionally, they cover defects, bug repairs, inspections, and their outcomes. Findings are summarized in these reports. Organizations may provide templates for test evaluation documents, which highlight achievements of quality objectives. Examples include checklists and requirements traceability matrices. These tools help evaluate various aspects of quality. Change requests may arise during progress, which must be incorporated into the project. This leads to updates in project documents and the project management plan, ensuring all changes are accounted for. This covers the expected outcomes of the managed quality process. We first plan for quality, making commitments to customers by defining the approach. Then we execute the plan through the managed quality process.